as well as the recording that will go out probably at the beginning of next week. So we will, you will get that email later on. With that being said, I'd love to introduce our presenters today. We've got Kathleen De Silva and Matt Smith with Georgia Partnership for Excellence in Education, and I will hand it over to them.
Hi everyone. I'm just making sure he unmuted it. But hi everyone. I'm Kathleen. I am Kat in the Kat and Matt show. So it's really amazing to be here with you all today. And I'm excited to connect with you all, learn more, but also share about the work that we're doing. But I'm Kathleen. I'm the Regional Engagement Manager. My work is supporting every corner of Georgia, ensuring that they're connected to the work that we do, but also with each other, resources in the state. So I'll hand it over to Matt.
Yeah, and really, I am the one that talks to policymakers and makes sure that they know about what's going on in every corner of the state and every community and give them a context and a space to digest that and be able to create state policies that address what's happening in our local communities.
Yeah, we know that the stories that are and the innovation, right? It's not only just the challenges and the opportunities that our rural and hardest to reach communities have, but we know that they're different than those that are happening in the city, and we want to make sure that those are in the work that we do statewide. So together, the two of us, we connect leaders, strategies, actions across Georgia, making those local voices influence statewide education and workforce policy. So next, we'll kick it off to a little bit more about the Georgia Partnerships for Excellence in Education. Alex, you can go back one. I'm going to hang in there a little bit and share about the partnership just a little bit more. And I know you guys may see Georgia Partnerships for Excellence in Education. And if you are not in the education space, you may say, okay, well, this is for an educator. Let me pass on this great information to my colleague who works in education. But our work is in connecting multi-sector leaders. So we are not just in that education space, but really in the whole landscape of birth to workforce, whole child, family, community. Um, am I missing anything, Matt, in that?
No, I think really the evolution we see in our work, both at the state and regional level, is the fact that we are looking at all of the factors that affect learning and well-being, some of which are around early learning, early care, education, but a lot of them touch on a lot of the community-based factors like transportation, housing, some of the protective factors that we want to bring to bear for children and adults. And so we've really expanded our scope to include those elements.
Awesome. So, well, I'll kick off and then Matt will join in, but I'll share about my work in regional engagement, what I do, how I connect, and how we offer supports and strengthen the work that you all do in your community. So we'll kick it off to regional engagement. Okay. Also, if anyone has a question, use a chat, drop it in the chat. I am one of those stop. I can talk forever. So stop, ask, slow me down if it's something that you don't understand. But drop it in the chat. You can raise your hand or jump right in. Okay, so again, my work is in regional engagement, and really that starts with understanding, right? So when I go into communities and I connect with leaders, the first thing and the most important thing is understanding. I'm about 2 years into the role. I started at the partnership. No, I'm sorry, I'm going into the third year. I started at the partnership. I've worked in education and nonprofit sectors, and no matter where you are people and they want the best for their families. And there's hard work happening in every sector. Everyone wants great communities. So coming in, understanding, connecting the pieces really is the heart of and I love what I do. I like to think I'm the lucky one on the team because I get to visit everyone, have lunches, really visibility throughout our state. And really it's my favorite thing. So why it all matters, right? So why is it important that these voices are heard in the statewide work? Well, Georgia's hardest to reach communities are lacking that hub often to connect, share, and collaborate. Now, they're out there, right? Resilient Georgia's a hub. We're one, they're out there, but we are also encouraging and supporting that connection and connectivity between community leaders, um, communities and sectors as well. So you guys see the population is growing, job growth is going, and it's important that every single community the smallest, the largest, are equipped and take advantage and come out on the right side of that growth as well. So as I travel throughout rural Georgia, I've been to a good number of places. Thomasville, Alex, was one of my favorites. I want to see kind of who we have in the room. Y'all let me know where you guys are. Drop it in the chat. I know Alex is in Thomasville. I don't know anyone else, but I'd love to see kind of. All right, we have Macon. I've been to Macon, Fayette as well. Yes, Valdosta, Gwinnett. Jasper is one I have not. So, Leslie, let's have lunch. I would love to hear all the things that are happening. Atlanta, Cobb County, Fulton, Moultrie. Okay, they are coming in. We are reaching across the state, and our reach is always, we're always working on expanding our reach and really deepening those connections. Currently, 177 leaders across the state, 62 counties. We are statewide, but when we look at our regional engagement, these are the folks that I've connected with. These are the folks that are in our Rural Learning Network, which I'll talk to you more about as well. But I will say early into this role, I learned that being in person, connecting, building those strong relationships was the number one factor to success. You know, being online allows us to get to know each other. Like we're all over the state right now in this one meeting, but the emphasis on getting to know y'all, getting to know your communities, being there with you all has been the number one factor to really growing our reach and depth and also extending it as well. So what we do and how we support and engage and really strengthen those communities that we go to. So again, number one is connecting, and I'll say we understand. I go in there to understand. I go in there to support. And in connecting, that is not just, Matt and I shared about how we bring our local voices and we connect that local voice into our state policy, informing leaders, but we're also connecting with resources. What's buzzing in Atlanta? What are the policymakers talking about here? What is happening here? But also with community leaders in different sectors. So whether it's business, nonprofit, education, and also with the gubernatorial election coming up, an important sector that we need to keep in these conversations is our local government as well. So we do this in a couple of ways, but we're connecting resources, shared stories, opportunities. We don't want to reinvent the wheel if there's a community that may have a similar challenge and they've already got the blueprint. So it's important that we build this space that really is collaborative, sharing, and support. So we also strengthen and support. Matt and I have a menu of ways that we connect with our regional rural communities throughout the state. And they're often tailored to meet your needs. I always say that the starting point for us is a conversation. Reach out to me, let me know what you're doing. Let's schedule some time together. And in doing that, we can kind of start to talk and explore the options, share any resources or connections that we have that we can share with you all as well. And so we see the connect, the strengthen, but there's also the elevate. And this is where those rural innovations and regional stories are brought to light. There is amazing work happening throughout the state. Our rural communities are not waiting for anyone to save them. They are getting the work done. And we have a couple different platforms. We can help really elevate those voices, bring them to the state and policy makers as well. And we'll share more about that on the next slide. All right, before we get to the next slide though, we see here the rural challenges: mental health, housing, early learning, workforce readiness. So these are the top challenges that are expressed. They're shared with me. With our network, we do a feedback session, and those came out as the top ones. But I want to hear from you all for a minute. Does that resonate with you? Are there any additional challenges? Is there something that you thought you would see and didn't see? And I'll give you a moment to really just sit in it, think about it. You can unmute, share, or drop it in the chat. Oh, also clarify, when I say rural, I want y'all to know that for us, we define rural as really anything, any county, any community that is outside of Metro Atlanta. So I know there's other organizations that will have different definitions and kind of measures, but for us, it's very it's a big catch-all to anyone that's out of Atlanta. Mental health for sure, housing. So that's all of our our work. Homelessness, yes. Opioid crisis, substance use disorder. That is one that I would love to dig in. I assume to hear more about that. So Tara, I would love to connect and hear more, and maybe, maybe the questions that I'm asking or, when can change to kind of get a better lens into what's happening in those communities. School safety, absolutely. Transportation, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's really and I'm glad that you guys are sharing, and we're going to dig into this, and I can't wait to reach out and learn more. But really, the heart of our work too is understanding and listening, right? If if those top regional challenges are misaligned with the leaders in the communities that we serve, we want y'all to tell us. We want to have those conversations because when we are moving our initiatives forward, it's important that they are led by the community and the leaders that are doing the work. So we really, really appreciate y'all. Okay, I'll call out a few more. I see lots of mental health, lack of available mental health resources within the county. And y'all, if someone has one and you're like, that is a great one, go ahead and second it, give it a thumbs up. All right, Alex, we can jump to next. Okay, so I wanted to share with you guys and give you guys some pictures and a little bit of lens of how lucky I am to get to go throughout this state and see some of the great things happening. So on the left, you'll see a gentleman and a woman. That is Santina Fryer. She is the CEO and president of Jensen Glam. They have a after school program and it is amazing. I actually was able to watch her not lead a panel. She was on a panel and superintendent was there as well, which was amazing I really like that picture because I really feel like it gives us kind of like that local and state connection like in a picture. But she was awarded the Boost Grant and it was not, that was something prior to my time at the partnership. I can't pinpoint and say that that was something that was gathered through our relationship with her. Santina is a strong member of our Rural Learning Network, which I'll share a little bit about. But when we can connect and when we can share resources, we start to really hear that information in all different places, and that's really how we can extend the reach and ensure that our rural communities, our hardest to reach communities, have those resources. So they had an aviation program, and it was amazing, and she did an amazing job on the panel, and it really did highlight the challenges in rural communities, I may be saying this wrong, so Matt will jump in, but there were challenges and grants when it came to the number of students in our rural communities. And Santina was really able to highlight that. We're grateful for her. She's an amazing partner at the RLN again. So what the RLN is, it's one of our main ways to connect. It's our Rural Learning Network. And I invite you all to shoot me an email. We'll share contact information. But it is a network of multi-sector leaders. We talk about pressing topics that are happening in our state and our communities. We have presenters, but we are a robust community of practice now. So what that means is that we are engaging, we are sharing, and we are practitioners that are all working towards a similar goal. Our last meeting was last Friday, and we actually had that meeting following up on Santina, and the Boost After School Grant was GSAN, which is the Georgia Statewide After School Network. And so GSAN came and presented. They shared some updates with us they shared an overview of their programs, what they offer, but they shared some updates. There's been some things happening in after school funding. So it was a great meeting. It was very timely, and we had some great conversations, collaborations, and we were able to really look at what is happening and how can we equip our rural communities throughout the state. So Matt and I talk about the braided funding model. Although I will say, if anyone missed the meeting, the funds were released, they're good, but the importance of a braiding funding model did come up as well. A couple more pictures. Alex may recognize the gentleman at the bottom. He is with Southern Regional Technical College. There is a welding dummy behind him. And I wanted to highlight that when I highlight our Asking Map It project. It's another one of the ways that we support, it is a year-long scan of a community. So we'll go into your community, we'll do a year-long comprehensive scan. And for Thomasville, we identified 5 working groups: early learning, literacy, pathways, barriers to employment, and communication and relationship building. What makes this scan and this asset mapping different than any other is that it is not a plan on a shelf. We work in partnership with the community leaders. It is something that they see, they want, and we align our strategies to meet their needs. So at the end of the year, it's a year-long plan. At the end of the year, there's presentations, there are goals, there's all those things, but most importantly, there are working groups that continue the work and the leaders are invested, they feel ownership, and they continue the work. There's lots happening, but I wanted to put that picture in because that is a moment. It was a asset mapping project that we've completed before I was at the partnership, but I was there for a annual kind of summit review that Thomasville had, and the gentleman there shared with me, he is a instructor at Southern Regional Technical College, and it was a moment where I could really see multi-sector leaders connecting and doing so in a way that is strategic and that can be replicated. The leaders there in the industry fields have I believe it's either quarterly or biannual meeting with the industry business sectors. And that ensures that the students are leaving. And when they're leaving and graduating, they are equipped to jump right into those sectors as well. But also, they are making sure that what certifications and degrees are coming out, they're aligned with the industry needs as well. So I see Lynn. Hi, Lynn. It is so great to see you. Troop and Thomasville are implementing their GP scans now. Yes, and we are actually getting ready to start a new one too. And once we do, I cannot wait to share and announce all that with you. So if you guys do know of a community who's interested, I'd love to just come, listen, understand, and we can explore and dig in. I'll go a little bit quickly because I don't want to take all of Matt's time. I shared about the Rural Learning Network. The top picture is actually our rural learning networks. We're often in the same spaces together, so I try to capture those pictures. And Megan, who is in the middle of that picture, she actually shared that quote. She's new to the RLN, and we're really grateful to always see them in their participation. And then really quickly, the last picture, you guys will see a convening. We also host our regional summits. It's a great way to really highlight the amazing work that you all are doing, bring awareness to an issue or an opportunity, but it's also an amazing way to just really get everyone together, get everyone aware of what's happening and the need for us to connect when it comes to education, business, collaboration, and the importance it has in economic vitality. So I also wanted to Matt is going to jump in. He's going to highlight kind of how that feedback shares our work that we do a little bit.
Right. As I mentioned earlier in our presentation, it's really crucial when we talk about community development to think about how we can expand educational opportunities, really stretch people's mindsets about how we can also help make sure that people are more economically and socially mobile. I think that the EdQuest Georgia initiative really helps shape that perspective in our community. One thing that happens when we talk to state leaders are they say, first of all, what's EdQuest Georgia? And I can talk about that in a minute. But really, they also want to know how we can be more people-centered, kind of figure out where they are, meet people where they're at, and also make sure we meet communities where they're at as well, and figure out how we can show that communities and people drive innovation, and that state level agencies and the state legislature can foster those supportive environments and supportive investments to then allow for communities to continue to innovate and thrive. Now, I kind of gave the last part first. The first part around EdQuest Georgia. So EdQuest Georgia started as a statewide education economic development plan. As I mentioned earlier, though, we did segue into discussions about how public health strategies, how things around workforce alignment and around transportation and housing and other protective factors that promote well-being are also included in the plan. I will say that what's really exciting is that we're using our community connections to help inform the next generation of our state plan. Our next state plan will be released around December or January, and that will actually inform our state level advocacy as well as our community advocacy over the next 2 years. what will be crucial, and I think that Kat kind of hinted at this, is that we're also going to talk about collaborative action planning, whether it happens at the state level or if it happens within our community efforts and through our rural learning network. There will be opportunities for us to have state and regional communities of practice where we talk through and try to initiate strategies that we can help support innovation and kind of move the needle on a lot of our priorities. Next slide. So, from a statewide perspective, a lot of this I've already mentioned, but if you see on the left side of this slide, EdQuest Georgia is really around making sure that communities and people are those that drive innovation, and that the state strategies are about helping protect those investments and making sure that people that are implementing these strategies on a day in, day out basis have resilience. Now, part of the resilience is not something that can be cinched, if you will, by an investment or a state level strategy. But we do understand that there are ways that, again, we can foster more healthy and helpful environments for these people to thrive and to feel like they can innovate, iterate, and be able to spread and scale what they're doing. And so part of the community action is not just around celebrating those innovations, that's really important for sure, but also around inspiring other people who in the practice of
Yes.
celebrating with others
Oh,
and
so well
honoring
done.
that. Yeah, Kat does this a lot. She does a great job, and she's actually inspired me to help honor and celebrate folks as well. That's when people have the questions, and then they really ask about really small tactical questions like, did you use an email newsletter? Did you talk to these people? How were you able to talk about instead of talking around community divides? Because in a lot of our rural communities, especially, we can talk about the legacies of class and race and history and all of these things that if you're not addressing them, you're not adequately probably addressing the potential and the promise of what you could be doing at a community level.
Yeah, those tools. Any questions? I know Matt and the Matt and Cat show can talk forever. So I want to make sure we honor any questions. I do see lots happening in the chat, lots of highlights to some opportunities and challenges, and also some places to dig in and see where we can support in how to use opioid settlement dollars effectively. I'm sorry, y'all. So.
Yeah, and I think there's a way too that we can frame these actions so they also are resonant with our state policymakers, because in a lot of cases they're looking for a window, a lens, a frame to be able to deepen their understanding, but also deepen their policy work as well. And so, really, even though you might not view yourselves as policymakers, I want to kind of endow you with that agency and with that inspiration to talk to your not just your state legislators, but I know Kat said earlier, your city and county government folks too. A lot of people there are going to be able to take what you're doing and be able to scale that more quickly than maybe our state level legislators.
Matt, you make a great point. I actually was in Augusta a couple months ago. I was at a literacy event, and one of the key things that I took away was talking with the GMAs, which I'm not going to remember their acronym right now, but they're around government. What is it?
The Georgia Municipal Association.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt.
I'm the acronym whisperer. It's all right. You don't have to remember all the acronyms. I got it. I got you.
But they had success in that initiative, and a couple different people noted, and they said, no, they had success in a previous initiative. That one was successful as well, but they had a housing initiative that had great success. And while I was in that room and in those conversations, a couple different people were noting that they found a key player to be our local government leaders and our government leaders in that space when they believed in it, when they also were part of advancing that initiative. And they had a strong interest in making sure that the local government was part of their literacy initiative as well. So I wanted to just piggyback on what Matt said and really just highlight the importance of our multi-sector collaborations, ensuring that we bring everyone to the table, but really wanted to highlight our government officials.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Kat. It starts with a mayor reading to an elementary school in his community or her community. And then it's one of those things too, when they get so energized and inspired, then they might say, "Oh, I'm going to go to the council and see if we can kick 50 or $60,000 into an initiative." And so it kind of snowballs like that, but it wouldn't begin unless we had an initiative like GMA where they really encourage mayors and city council people to actually go in their communities and read to children.
Yeah. And that snowball effect is really the heart of our connecting as well. When our multi-sector leaders connect, there's also always amazing partnerships and collaborations that are happening. One that I can think of just now is in Valdosta in our Rural Learning Network. We have a foster care representative, and he has connected with PCOM in Moultrie, and they are having a mentorship program within that campus where those foster care youth are being exposed to careers in medicine. And the amazing diversity that brings into the medical field, into having those experiences and the knowledge from those individuals who have gone through, just different things in different places. So it can snowball, and now we're looking at military, how our military spouses can serve as mentors. So the snowball effect is one that definitely happens and often just starts with a conversation, just having the same folks in the room.
Well, you really brought us up to the time where we are going to be reaching out. And I know Alex might want to say a few things or help begin the next session, but really we're here to hear from you now. We've made community connections and now we're connecting with you in community, not just
Yeah.
spatially, but also conceptually. And so we want to really devote this next 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so to y'all and to hear what's giving y'all inspiration, maybe what's giving y'all tension, friction, pain, whatever it might be. But be able to recognize that, hear you, but also, if we can, jot down some resources and get back to y'all as well.
Yeah, and also if you have any questions, we can say a lot fast. So if there are any questions, anything that we can clarify for you and help with your understanding as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. All the wonderful information, and we're starting to put it in the chat now, that some of the resources we've talked about. And again, we will have a follow-up email with everything that Matt and Kat have talked about in their presentation. We do have Dr. Jennifer Mitchell, not to call you out, from PCOM if she does want to chat a little bit further about that partnership. But and also to follow up on the opioid and substance use topic, we've partnered with CWC Alliance, and we are trying to launch our program through the settlement fund dollars that are out there. So we do have more information if anyone does want to get connected, just to learn how folks throughout the state are using the settlement funds. We'd be happy to talk about that with you. So I will hand it over to anyone who has any questions or comments.
I do see that someone mentioned our cell phone forum today. We are actually here right now. We've stepped away because we wouldn't miss this lunch and learn for anything. But I can give you guys some really great highlights. And I think what's really speaking to me is the emphasis on mental health and understanding the impacts for our students, to our students. But in every angle, it has been the conversation that I've really, really liked. They even had a student on the panel as well. Lots of data, lots of research behind it. And y'all, once that recording is ready, I will make sure that you all have all the details and all the great things as well from that forum.
It's interesting too, related to that. I saw some media around this topic. And one thing that really struck me too was when we talk about even using technology for learning. And this was an op-ed piece in the AJC. And one thing that said, Kat, was that sometimes when we gamify learning, we have to let kids work through the productive chaos. I'm like, what does that mean? We have to have them learn how to be bored. Part of being engaged and re-engaged in learning is to navigate boredom. And so I thought that was really interesting too, because we've been talking about cell phones. It's almost like you get that dopamine rush and yeah, everybody gets excited and then, people kind of, fall out. And so that's one thing that we heard today from the forum as well.
Good point. Great point.
I have a brief question. You guys have mentioned the scans that you guys do, so the assessment, needs assessment. About how long does that total process take? I know it seemed like you guys had gone in there a certain period of time and then maybe 12 months later. I'm just kind of interested in that. Maybe a little bit more
Generally a
about that.
year-long process, but one of the things that makes it so impactful is that it's unique to those community needs.
Yeah.
So I would say generally a year long, but that can vary just depending on the community needs.
And a lot of the
Okay.
scans too, it makes it sound like it's a clinical kind of thing where we're looking at the data and Cat like maybe does present like a data abstract and
Yes,
about
absolutely.
opportunities and challenges, but it really too, the idea when you do this asset mapping is our biggest asset is the human asset, right? And so like how can we bring these people together kind of issue, like where are those kind of when we worked in Thomasville, like working through those groups, where do you feel the core priorities are? And we don't necessarily, like you said, Kat, we don't instill on them or impose on them, oh, well, these are our 5 priority areas. So you either get in line or you get out. No,
Yeah.
the idea is people centered and community driven. So like if no, they said we really want to focus on something that we hadn't contemplated in other communities. That doesn't mean that we keep from talking about it. We lean into that and provide resources.
Yeah, and we do the data and the research and the one-on-ones. Lots of one-on-ones and roundtables and conversations. And what I think is one of the strongest benefits is that we go in and we are a neutral voice. Some things that folks may not want to tell to their community leader, or a community leader may, they may have a strong relationship. We create that space where it is neutral, there are no stakes in it, and we can really dig into what's happening in the communities, and also providing a comprehensive assessment of the opportunities, the gaps, and the strengths that are in that community as well.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Yeah. Because part of we're one of the new Resilient Georgia coalitions. So we're like in this round of funding. And one of the things that we have, we have a diverse group of counties that we represent, and we have a number of rural counties. And so one of the things we had talked about and been, discussing was doing some asset mapping, making sure we have a really, really good understanding. And so having that kind of a tool or opportunity to be able to really have you guys know what you know, like this is kind of your lane.
Yeah.
Something that I feel like would be really, really helpful. So
I'll share some resources out. One key thing that came to mind when you said that was when I spoke with Thomasville, the leader there, Andrea, she's no longer there, Andrea Collins, who was our main point of contact. She would say that it's like going into the mall and there's a map, right? And there's great stores in the map, right? There may be other things, but what we were able to do was provide them with a "You are here" sticker. So you can know which direction in that mall to go to. And Tara, remind me what community you're with?
well, I'm in Fayette County. However, our coalition is Spalding. We're Spalding, Upson, Lee, Pike. People from my team help me out. Upson, Henry, Rockdale, Upson, Lee, Spalding,
Lamar.
Lamar, and then Fayette. So I think that's all 8.
So kind of between 20 and Macon a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All
Yeah.
right, got it.
Well,
Yep.
let's make sure we connect and talk through asset mapping
Thank
and
you,
what
Alex.
ours are. And, sometimes too, a regional summit is a great starting point for asset mapping. Really brings those community leaders together. It builds awareness, and it also helps gauge, where are we in this process? Is our community ready for this? Is this what they're really truly looking for as well? But it's a great way to really just galvanize folks together and get them talking about those next steps.
You're right too. And we haven't been this part in a while too. We were in Gordon State College last time, was kind of in your area. And so we'll be
Yeah.
glad to come back down there eventually and maybe put a regional summit on if it makes sense.
And when we
Okay.
regional
That's what I was going to
summit-
ask. Do you help facilitate that as well? So yes. Thank
Oh,
you.
yes,
100%.
yes. And I want to emphasize, I know you guys saw that slide with the 3 things that we do strengthen, but I really think of when you think of us, like, how can we make it better for you? And that's exactly what I do in our regional summits. How can I support you? And we handle all the logistics, the Eventbrite, the invitation, graphics, agendas, how I really try to be that person that helps you all and doesn't add an extra thing to your list. We also fund the lunch or the breakfast for the room as well. And it can be a small convening depending on the community, or it can be a larger one at about 150 folks as well. We also share with our presentation, it's called the Economics of Education, and it really provides that importance of education in the education to workforce pipeline and economic vitality. So I do a lot of the lifting. I'm doing the agendas, QR codes, but we do ask that you all support us in panels and talking through what your community needs, what kind of discussions we want to have, but also in invitations as well.
You mentioned that. I want to kind of connect the dots too. If anyone's in Southeast Georgia, we're going to have our next regional summit in September in Jessup in Wayne
September
County.
10th. Yes. I will make sure to share. We have so many things to share with y'all. This is so exciting, but I'll make sure to share those as well.
Well, and this is Michael in Pike County, part of the same coalition Tara's part of as well. We have a big transition going on in our region, which is why when you said the term human strength, human capital, human assets with that, that's the type of language that we'll speak in these counties, because some of them have transitioned from rural counties to almost a blend of urban rural together. And then you have some that are still rural but they're bedroom communities. The economic jobs are out of the county for the most part, or they were formal textile communities that have experienced the economic impact of many years ago losing the textile industry. So there's a lot of different pieces to our mix of counties that we have. But that human strength could be language that could really work. I could see that.
And I think you bring a great point is, being intentional with how we encounter our leaders, how we encounter our communities, and how we communicate and knowing. And I think that's where we really have strength in connecting and collaborating and knowing that bringing that language could really gather folks and get them hearing. So I really appreciate that.
And Michael, one thing that we've been talking about through our Rural Learning Network and our community practice, which is embedded in that network, is thinking about if there is a set of counties that want to act kind of in common cause and be able to do things that they maybe couldn't do financially or logistically apart. Are there ways that they can do things together? And especially in the areas of public health and economic development, there are maybe ways that they can work together where they maybe haven't contemplated that, but there is an opportunity for them when we kind of come in their community and show them where the magic can happen based on working in collaboration across county borders.
Right. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Thank you all so much. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to ask or inquire about? Oh, and yeah, and Lynn added to the chat, counties that go through the scanning process are better equipped to apply for larger grants for housing and transportation.
Yes, absolutely. Thomasville actually received a grant in early care, the Expand grant, which extended childcare hours. And I want to say that was, I'm going to say the wrong number, but it was a pretty big grant and it really supported a lot of their families.
Yeah, it was 700,000, I believe.
And they were, when you think about it, our industries and our workforce, they need their employees to be able to go to work beyond the 2-3 o'clock. So there is an interest and an investment in all sectors, but with the data and with the workforce plan, it does set you up to be able to get those grants.
Yes, definitely. Another great initiative, which I think you mentioned earlier, Kathleen, is the School to Business Summit, which they've done for the last 3 years now, which connects all the different industries. We do tours of all the different industries from all different sectors. So it really connects people who might not work together every single day and allows for conversations and better understanding of where everyone is at to really try to work on a lot of the challenges that are in most of our communities. So I think it was a great, much needed thing that happened. And especially for a town or city that has a split community, city and county leadership, which a lot of, I'm sure rural communities can identify with as well.
Right.
That can be challenging in itself.
And one of the working groups and and I'm looking for, oh, there it is. It was communication and relationship building in Thomasville. And those are skills. Those are skills that are learned and how we connect with each other, how we understand each other, how we talk to folks who are in different places. So, uh, that it is not just set to employment, literacy, transportation. It can also be a support in those community relationship building as well.
And going deep too, I know one thing we did in Thomasville, like even when we were talking about the fact that there were community and family foundations that were providing funding to support like literacy and tutoring among children. And one thing that they found was is that we need to build deeper relationships with parents because even though there's more access and there's more availability for these services, they weren't really accommodating the needs of those parents and of those communities within the larger community. And I think that that was actually a big takeaway for us is that it's not just about expanding access. You want to make sure that people understand that what they're receiving reflects their values and their needs as well.
Exactly. Absolutely, Matt. And engagement's really been centered to the day here at the cell phone forum as well. And honestly, Matt, when we think of all of the work that we've been doing together um, in this last season, engagement really sits at the center of it. One thing that I'll close with is the conversation on cell phone bans, right? We want our students to be engaged, but do we need to pitch it as a cell phone ban? Or is it the opportunity to engage? Because ban sounds not so great, right? Right? But when you walk into a lunchroom and kids are playing football with the folded paper or in that kind of things, we've provided them with that opportunity to engage with each other. So when we look at a lot of these top priorities, engagement, really, I think Matt and I have been talking about engagement quite a bit this last season.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
Thank you. Does anyone have anything else they'd love to add or ask before we hop off today?
We would just welcome, yeah, again, we said engagement 50 million times in this presentation, maybe 3 or 4 times a minute. But when y'all received the email from Alex and Nikki, don't don't feel like it's strange or off-putting to like come at us with tons of questions. Like
Yeah.
this is something we deal with every day, whether it's the media, whether it's you, whether it's state policymakers. We field so many questions
Yeah.
and provide so many resources to people. And so we don't want y'all to not be part of the fun. So
Oh, my.
this is the invitation. Well, Michael, yeah.
I will say too that y'all questions, y'all feedback, input, it helps us. It helps us in doing our roles and really connecting that local and state voice to ensure really strong communities for our families in Georgia.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Kathleen and Matt. We appreciate you and all the work you do at GPEE and for all the work that our coalition leads and partners are doing across the state. We just appreciate you being so supportive of our Lunch and Learns and we just really appreciate everyone and hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And we will see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you all.
Thanks for having us.
Look forward to hearing back from everyone.
Everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.